Hey everyone, welcome to this tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about how to use MailChimp for youth ministry. Now, a lot of people have been asking about this and I'm just super excited to do this video because there is a lot of really cool features and tools inside of MailChimp that can be really helpful and help you be more productive as a youth pastor or youth worker. And it's completely free. MailChimp is a free tool, so I thought, how about we just talk about it, give you the ins and outs. Maybe you already use it. Maybe you've never used it before and this is your first look at it. Either way, I think there will be some helpful things in here for you to help you get set up and using it most effectively in your ministry. We're going to talk about 4 things today. The first thing is talking about creating email lists. We're going to talk about creating a list for your students, for your parents, and for your volunteers. You want those all 3 separate. And of course, you can send to all 3 of them or a combination whenever you want. The second thing we're going to talk about is actually creating email campaigns. Inside MailChimp, an email is called a campaign, and we're going to talk about how to build it, how to make it look nice, what to include for who, and it's just really easy to build emails and make them look really professional in MailChimp. The third thing is creating sequences. Now, this could be something like an onboarding for your volunteers or for your parents. Maybe it's a sequence to promote a retreat or a summer camp you have coming up. So you can kind of get those set up so that you can just set it and forget it and not have to worry about doing anything once you set it up. It's incredible. And you can even set up like automations to send birthday emails. So if a student has a birthday or a volunteer or even a parent has a birthday, you can send an email right to them. A lot of really cool automations in MailChimp, and it's completely free. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is just creating email forms, sign-up forms. So maybe you have a student who's signing up to your ministry and you want to get them on your email list. Well, you can have that automatically happen just by filling out a simple MailChimp form. Same thing for parents or volunteers. So just a way for you to create those easily. And we're going to talk about that today. And you're going to notice at the bottom of this video, we're going to have the title of which section we're on. So maybe you already know how to create email lists and you want to skip to the sequences, or maybe you really want to skip to how to build a campaign and make your emails look really good in MailChimp. You can just scroll through this video, find the pieces of information you need. But if this is brand new to you and you've never used MailChimp, I recommend just kind of hanging in, checking out the entire video, and I think you'll be impressed with all the tools that MailChimp has in store for you. All right, so first thing you need to do is create an account. I already went through the creation process, so here's the login screen. So let's just log into MailChimp. All right, so this is what the login screen looks like. And the first thing we're going to do today is talk about email lists. So what I'm going to do is up here in the menu, click on lists. And you'll see right now we don't have any lists. And like I mentioned earlier, I think it's good to create 3 different lists at least for your ministry. First one is for your students, second one is for your volunteers, and the third one is for your parents. So let's go ahead and create those lists. So click that button that says create lists, and you can put the list name in there. I'm just going to call this one students. The default email, this is your email address I would recommend. So go ahead and put whatever you want in there, but I'm just going to put Kenny at Stuff You Can Use. The default from name. Now this is the name that's going to say it's coming from. So when it lands in the email inbox, and let's just put, for this example, Pastor Kenny. So I'm pretending I'm a youth pastor still. Those were good days. All right. And then last thing is remind people how they signed up to your list. So you could put whatever you want in here. I'm just going to say, you're on this list because you go to our youth group. There you go. So that's all you need to do. And here's some cool form settings that you should probably check out. Notification settings, double opt-in, ignore that. Don't need to have that on. That just means for them to actually get on your list, they've got to also get an email and hit yes again, which we don't need a double opt-in for this. And then notifications, daily summaries, 1 by 1 every time someone subscribes, and also 1 by 1 every time someone unsubscribes. I would say as a youth pastor, it's cool to see when people subscribe to your list or not, depending on how many kids or how many volunteers you have. But let's just say, yes, we want notifications every time somebody signs up or unsubscribes from this list. So I'm just going to hit save here. And now we have the list. The problem is nobody's in this list, so there's no contacts right now. So down here it says you can import or you can create a sign-up form. We're going to import, and you can also do it here where it says add contacts, import contacts. Now, I already have an Excel sheet set up. So you can import multiple ways through a CVS, which is like you can create that in Excel. You can copy and paste, or if you have another service like Google Contacts or whatever. But let's just do it through a regular Excel form, CSV, and let's upload that file. So we're going to browse for it. I already got it pulled up here, students. And let's hit next down here. All right, and now it's just going through the different columns in my form. So I've got a first name, which matches the first name. Yep, I want to save that. Last name matches the last name. Yep, email address to email. And let's see, we got a birthday. So I'm going to do new column name. I'm going to call it birthday, and it is the birthday field. So let's just go ahead and do that. Hit next. And birthday is important because we're going to set up automations to send emails on students, parents, and volunteers' birthdays. So let's just hit next, make sure we have the birthdays in there if you want to do that. And we're going to categorize them as subscribed, okay? You don't have to change anything on this, and just hit import. All right, so I just imported 50 students into MailChimp. We imported their email address, first name, last name, and birthday. So that's all you have to do. And of course, you can do that for the other people that you want to send emails to. So right now we've got students. But let's create another list, and I'm just going to fast forward as I do this for volunteers and parents. All right, so I just imported students, a whole list of students I had. So I've got 50 students on that list, a whole list of volunteers, which is 15 volunteers in my ministry, and 42 parents. And I imported a parents list. So it's really important to categorize your people this way and have 3 different lists, because then you can set up different sequences and campaigns for each of them. And one cool feature about your lists is you actually have profiles on each individual student. So let's just click on a student here and look at their profile inside MailChimp. So I can write a note if I want to about that student. I'll see all the activity, which emails they opened, which links they've clicked. I can see their profile information. Their birthday is right there, their first name, their last name, their email. I can even see their open rate and their click rate. So every time I send them an email, how often are they opening it and how often are they clicking it? And then in the activity, I can see exactly what they're clicking and what they're opening. So the MailChimp profile page is actually really helpful and really cool. So that's what that looks like. Now, the second thing we want to talk about today are actually creating emails. So let's click on campaigns. That's kind of the same term for email inside MailChimp. And we have no campaigns yet. So let's just pretend we want to send a campaign just to parents to let them know about a deadline for camp registration. Now, this might be an email in real life you want to send to everybody, but let's just pretend this is a very parent-specific email. So we're going to click Create Campaign, and we're going to click down here, Create an Email. So they actually give you some options, create an email, create an ad, which, if you want to create a Facebook ad, you can actually do that through MailChimp and target your people, which is really cool. We're not going to talk about that. That's like next level, super advanced. Probably most of you won't be doing that, but that is an option. And then the other thing is creating a landing page, which you can play around with that. Maybe that would be useful to you if you want to do like a retreat sign up and create a landing page. You can also do that inside MailChimp, but let's just focus on emails for today. So let's create an email, and let's call this Parent Camp Deadline. And that's what we're going to call our email campaign name. So that's not the subject of the email. That's just what we're calling it internally. And now here we get to set all the stuff like who it's going to, who it's from, what the subject line is, and what the email actually looks like. So first thing we're going to do is add recipients, and you click there, choose the list. So we can send it to students, volunteers, or parents. Let's go ahead and send it to parents. and personalize the to field. So that's pretty important. Basically what it's going to do is instead of saying to that person's email address, like in the header of their inbox, it's actually going to say their name. So it's just going to make it feel a little more personal, and it actually helps it get past spam filters. So go ahead and hit that, especially if you have a first name or a name already in there. And we're just going to do full name. So that'll give them first name and last name. So it'll be to that person's name. We're going to save from. Who is it coming from? Who is sending this campaign? And we're going to make it come from Pastor Kenny, and the return email address is my email. So let's go ahead and save that. Subject line. This is where you can get creative if you want to, or you can just be very straightforward. And we're just going to pretend our ministry is called Pulse. Now let's just call it Grow, because I have the Grow logo for the email. So we're going to call it Grow Camp Deadline. And so that's what the subject of the email is going to be. You can throw some emojis in there. They support that, whatever you want to do. And then you can also put some preview text, and maybe you want to put something like, don't miss this info. And that's just some preview text that they'll see that will appear right after the subject line. So important stuff. You want to make sure you have that stuff right and spelled correctly. And now let's get to the design of the email. So let's talk about email content. Now they actually give you some featured emails that you could use, some featured templates. I actually like to work from nothing, just the basic. It's nice and easy. You can just drag and drop. So I'm going to click the basic template and show you how to easily create an email. And actually, if you use Grow Curriculum, the message builder was inspired by this email builder. So we thought, hey, MailChimp's got a really cool email builder that makes it nice and easy to build emails. We should do the same thing for Grow Curriculum as youth pastors and youth workers are building their messages. And so that's kind of where we got the idea from. But first thing, let's get rid of some of the stuff we don't want. So don't need that top thing. I always get rid of that first. And then I get rid of this stuff. We don't need any of these things in the footer. So just hover over it, hit delete, and kind of just clean it all up. All right, so we've got a place for an image to start with and a place for text, and that's where we're going to start. So first thing we're going to do is I like to put the logo. Just make it really simple, just an image with your logo on it, just for the header of your email. So I'm going to upload an image that's got the logo in it. So we're going to use just the Grow logo. Obviously, you would create something that was for your ministry. And if you click on this little button here to edit, you'll see some settings. And I like to, for the header, go edge to edge. That just makes the image go all the way to the edge of the email. You'll see it's either inside and there's some white space, or it goes all the way. So that's up to you. Just a quick little tip. And yep, so I'm going to hit save. All right, and now we've got the text. You'll notice the text is really close to the image, so I'm going to throw a divider in there. You just drag and drop the divider, and I'm going to do can't see it at all. I'm going to hit save, and now you've got some space. So we got the header, a little space, and our text. And so let's just say this is our camp deadline coming up. So what we're going to do is we're going to say camp deadline coming up. All right. And so that's going to be our text for this section. I'm going to get rid of the rest of this. Or actually, I'm going to cut it so I can paste it in later. And so I'm going to hit save. And so I like doing like a headline and then an image and then the text. You can build it however you want, but that's the cool thing about MailChimp is it gives you some flexibility. So I'm going to drop in an image, and let's just pretend this is our camp image. And I'm going to throw in, we've got a series logo from Grow. So this is one of our Grow series, but go ahead and just pretend this is your camp image. I guess I could have used the camp image from Grow, but put whatever you want in there. So camp deadline coming up. You got the image, and then we're going to throw some more text in there, and we're going to paste back our text from before. We'll just pretend that's the information we want to deliver to parents. And so our email's coming together already. Look at, we got our header, we've got a headline, we got an image to make it look nice, And then we've got the text that we want the parents to read. And then the last thing I think we should do is throw a button. Maybe you've got like an online registration form that you want them to fill out. And so I would say register now. And go ahead. You can put the address to where you want that to go. So let's just pretend growcurriculum.org, just so we can test it to make sure it works. And so there you go, register now. And so that's pretty much the email. And maybe you want to throw in just underneath the button. All right, we're excited for camp and hope your student can join us. And we'll make that from Pastor Kenny. Go ahead and you can just make that bold. All right, so now you can see this is what our email looks like. We've got the header, the headline, an image, some text, a register button, and then just a last little message from Pastor Kenny down there. So let's go ahead and preview it. So you've got this preview button up here, and it'll let you look at what it looks like on a desktop and your phone. So let's enter preview mode. So here's what it looks like on a desktop, which looks awesome. So it shows up in their inbox, in their email software. And so there you go. Very nice and professional. I mean, that looks like a slick email. Looks like you're doing your work as a youth worker, making stuff look good. And we've got two, first name and last name, from Pastor Kenny, subject, Grow Camp deadline, preview, don't miss this info. All looks good. The register button, that links to growcurriculum.org, but of course you would link that to whatever you want to. Looks like that button is working. All right, everything looks good. Now let's look at what it looks like on the phone. And the reason why I like using just the simple, basic format for my emails is so that it looks exactly the same on phone and desktop. So you look at it, pretty nice, got the Grow header, got your headline, image, boom, ready to rock and roll. So we can exit out of this and let's go ahead and save and close. So email is built, looks good. Now we're back to the settings here. And the last thing we want to do is, and if you want, you can connect your Facebook or your Twitter. We don't need to worry about any of that stuff for now. But we do need to schedule it. So if you want to send it right now, you can. If you're like, hey, I want to send this to parents right now, send it out. Just hit that button. It'll send right to them. But a cool thing about MailChimp is you can schedule it for later. So let's say, you know what? I want it to send after church on Sunday. April 1st, it's Easter, so maybe not the best day to do it, but let's just pretend you want to send it after church. So you can do that, and let's say, all right, I want to send it at 12:45 p.m. on Sunday, and I'm going to schedule my campaign. And there you go. Now it is scheduled and ready to go. So the cool thing about that too is it lets you know everything's good. Here's when the date is and what time it's going to send. And the best part is here's the URL of your campaign. So on Sunday after church, if you want to shoot this URL out on Twitter and Facebook, this is where it goes. And so let's go ahead and open it up. And so it's actually your email on a web page that people can read, and it looks real nice. So you want to post this on Twitter, post it on Facebook. If you want parents to get this in more ways than just through their email inbox, that's a great thing to do. You can even text this. You can text this out to your parents or volunteers or whoever. So that's a really cool feature. It gives you the URL so that you can send it out in more ways than one. So we've talked about lists. We've talked about campaigns. And now here's the really cool part of MailChimp that I think sets it apart from just a normal email coming out of your Outlook or your Gmail inbox, and that is sequences and automations. So let's talk about sequences and automations. So right now, if you want, you can click on reports and then click on automation. We don't have any automations yet. And so here's some really cool ideas for some automations. I mentioned it earlier, and one cool feature of MailChimp is sending birthday emails. So you can actually set up an email that goes to the person's name and just gives them a birthday note. So you can say, happy birthday, thinking about you, praying for you, super excited that you're a part of this ministry. And you can set that up for your students, your volunteers, the parents, everybody. Really easy to do that. And MailChimp provides that for free. And so I think you should take advantage of that and set up a birthday sequence. But there's also some other things like new subscriber sequences. And that's what I want to talk about today. So for instance, let's do a volunteer onboarding sequence. So campaign name, we're going to call this volunteer onboarding. And so this, I'm thinking, would be like, all right, when a volunteer signs up to serve, we can send them an email that just welcomes them. And then maybe over the course of 4 weeks, send them 4 more emails that gives them some information about the ministry or talks about the vision statement or the mission statement of your youth ministry or the most important things you want to get to them over the course of their first 4 weeks serving with you. So first thing we need to do is pick a list to send it to. Let's send it to our volunteers list. Hit begin. All right, so here's what happens. They start you off with 1 email. So trigger 1 day after subscribers join your list. And actually, let's edit that and let's make this trigger as soon as they sign up. So immediately. So as soon as they sign up, we want, and trigger when subscribers are imported. Yep, so we want that too. So as soon as you import a volunteer or a volunteer signs up for your ministry, you want that to send immediately. So let's update that. So first email sends, and then what you can do is go in and design that email. We won't do that now. We'll just talk about the structure of this, but you'd go in here, same way like we just did with our first campaign. You can design those emails, make them look however you want, whatever information you want, any images, buttons, all that kind of stuff. Put it in that first welcome email. This one, I would just make like a little welcome message from you as the leader of your youth ministry and that you're excited for them to be serving with your team and maybe some really basic information. And then maybe what we want to do is start them on some kind of little like onboarding or training process. So what I would do is set up another email. It says that it triggers 1 day after subscribers are sent the previous email. I like that. They get the welcome email. Next day, they get their first training email. I think that's good. So we could basically call it whatever we want, design it however we want to. And so that's going to trigger 1 day after. Maybe you have 4 parts to the mission statement of your youth ministry. And for this first email, we're going to talk about one of those parts. So that's totally up to you. Or maybe there's whatever the things are, the most important things you want to talk about, set it up in this email. All right. So we put it all in there and then we're going to say, all right, a week later, we want the next email. So it automatically says 1 day later, but we don't want to bombard their inbox the first week they sign up with us. So they get the first email. The next day, they get the second one. Let's wait for a week, send them the next one. So we can go in here, change it to 1 week, update the trigger. So the first email is the welcome email. Second email is part 1 of your mission statement. Email number 3 is part 2 of your mission statement. Let's go ahead and add another email. Let's trigger that a week later. Update that. And then we're going to add 1 more email and trigger that a week later. So this is it. This is all you need to do, and it's all set up. Basically, it's the first month of them serving with you. You're getting them the most important information, and it sends to everybody on their own timetable. So if you have a volunteer that signs up today, it starts today. If you have a volunteer that signs up 6 months from now, they'll get started in this 6 months from now. So it's really cool to be able to set these up. Set it and forget it, and you don't have to worry about it. So let's go ahead and save and exit. So, down here, we want to hit next. So we hit next just to wrap it up, and it lets us know, hey, we never built any of these emails. Yeah, we know. So now we can save and exit. So let's go to our dashboard. So yeah, don't worry about that. You can basically come back to it later and edit it, and it'll all be there. So far today, we talked about setting up lists, setting up email campaigns in your ministry. We talked about setting up sequences, some other really cool sequences. There's like unlimited. You could just have a whole brainstorming day of different sequences. We talked about a birthday automation. We talked about a volunteer onboarding sequence. You can do the same thing for your parents. You can even do the same thing for your students. Maybe it's like, hey, I want to talk to you about the 4 big retreats we do every year as a student, and you get that sent to them their first month, or whatever you want to talk to them about. You could even set up your weekly campaign. So if you want to do a weekly email to all of your volunteers, you can set that up as a campaign and just go in there and each week change the info, send it out, schedule it for maybe Monday morning or whenever you want to get that information to them. You may want to send a sequence to parents leading up to an event. So you might say, okay, every parent starting at the beginning of May, I want to send them an email every week for 5 weeks talking about summer camp. Well, you can just go in there and schedule it right now and get those done today. So when May comes around, you don't have to worry about doing it. So that's the really cool thing about MailChimp is you can schedule stuff and your communication game goes up 10 notches. Parents are going to hear from you more than ever. Students are going to hear from you and volunteers are going to hear from you more than ever if you go in here and set up some campaigns and automations that run in the background. You can crank them all out in one afternoon and not worry about them. And for the next multiple years, they could be running in the background and you don't have to worry about them. So that's what that looks like. And then the last thing I want to talk about is sign up forms. And this is important because maybe you have a Facebook group full of volunteers or parents. Let's just talk about parents. Maybe you have a Facebook group full of parents and you want to create a sign up form to get them on the email list. Maybe you have their email information. Maybe you don't. Let's just pretend you don't and you need a sign up form. So you just go to the list and then there's a little drop down there where I clicked sign up form. Let me just do that again real quick in case you missed it. So you got parents. We're going to go to this little drop down where it says sign up forms. And then we're going to click on that. And then basically we're just going to click on this form builder, keep it nice and simple. And it's our sign up form. It gives us the URL for it. And here it is. We just want to, let's just say we're going to call it the Grow Parents email list. So they know what they're signing up for. Grow is the name of our fictitious youth ministry in this example. And so we're collecting email address, first name, last name, and let's get rid of these things. So it says hidden. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but I'm just going to delete these. Delete address. We don't need to collect that. And we don't need to collect phone number on this either. Maybe you do. Depends on what you want to collect. You can do whatever you want. Oh, birthday's in there. All right, so we've got email address, name, last name, birthday, and then they hit subscribe. So our form is saved, and now let's look at what it will look like if we send this link out. So let's copy it, paste it in here, and see what this form is. There it is, nice and simple. You don't need to go crazy with it. Just give them a way to sign up. So they'll put their email list, first name, last name, birthday, subscribe. And the cool thing is if you have a sequence that's already set up, as soon as they hit submit, that will get them on the email sequence. And so if you have new parents signing up, every time you meet a new parent, you can say, hey, here's this link, sign up to our email list, and they'll automatically be getting emails from you. Even if you don't manually send it yourself, there's some automations in the background. So that's all I wanted to do today was walk you through how to do those 4 things. How to set up your lists in MailChimp, how to set up emails/campaigns, how to set up automations and sequences, and also how to set up your sign-up form so you can send them out to your people. And hopefully that was helpful. If you're not a Grow Curriculum subscriber, I want to encourage you to check out growcurriculum.com. We provide you with emails every single week for your volunteers that you can send that talks about what you're teaching, what the small group questions are, some other really helpful, cool things like announcements or whatever else you want to talk to your volunteers about. We provide you a template for that every week in Grow Curriculum. And we also provide you a template every month for your parents. So that same thing, what you're talking about, a way for your parents to kind of engage with what you're teaching and also to send them announcements or let them know about deadlines and things that are happening. So I really want to encourage you, take advantage of those inside Grow Curriculum if you are a user. And if you're not a user, check it out. Maybe it'd be a cool tool. I know a lot of people that I talk to love the emails and love that we provide them, and we give you all the images and actually some really cool links to videos and some just inspirational and training stuff to send to your volunteers and parents. Just some cool things so that you can, one less thing for you to worry about. And now with using MailChimp, you can set them up, you can automate them, you can schedule them in advance, and it'll just make your life easier as a youth worker. So hopefully all this stuff is going to be a help to you. And I'm just encouraged by everything I hear and see in the Stuff You Can Use Facebook group. If you're not a part of that, in Facebook, search for Stuff You Can Use, a youth ministry community, and you'll be able to bounce questions. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me or talk to MailChimp support. They might be able to help you answer some questions, or go on YouTube and search how to do certain things. You'll be able to find a bunch of ideas there too. But you can always find me in the Facebook group or shoot me an email. If you watch closely in this video, you'll be able to get my email from it, kenny@stuffyoucanuse.org, and I'd be happy to talk to you. All right. Hope you guys are having a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.